Good.
Hold on. Let me do a Marco Rubio.
When did he do that?
During his rebuttal in the presidential State of the Union.
Mm.
Yeah, he says, I got on porch, and he reaches out and grabs the water and then comes back. So.
I missed that one. Did the double hand too?
Yeah, he did the double hand as well. Anyway.
Good morning, everybody. What's going on? This is Bevo.
And I'm Robert Rostick.
And thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Raising Unmanageables. I think we confirmed it is episode 72. 72. And so we're knocking them out. And the end of the year is coming.
And it's getting close to Christmas.
It is getting close to Christmas. Mason Gehring is not here. We will talk about that in a little bit. But we do want to make sure that we continue to shine some light and give some credit to Alex Zadarozny behind the camera there. She doesn't just sit behind the camera. She does come in and help set up the set, put all the lights in position, and just overall she's still learning how to do her job as a photographer, as a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate you, Alex, for still coming in and rocking out with us old guys.
Yeah.
And
that's because nobody else is beating down the door.
Nobody else is beating down the door.
She's trying to find a replacement. Right.
Thank you very much. Robert Rostick.
Yes, sir.
This time of the year is one of those times of the year where it seems like when all the sad things that can go wrong,
they do go wrong. Yeah.
Right? And it always seems it revolves around health.
And a little bit more. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's health. This is the heightened time for anxiety.
Right.
And for flu.
Right.
To get the flu because of the weather changes. The anxiety coming from people having to travel and put together things in little small packages to travel to take to go uproot themselves from where they are to different places.
Right.
And then deal with that new environment.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. So with that in mind, I was thinking about how important it is for us to actually not just for one, take care of ourselves.
Uh-huh.
But then secondly, I think it's just as important to understand and to learn how and to educate ourselves on how to take care of the people around us.
Yeah. Very important.
The reason I thought about this topic today was over Thanksgiving. I was telling you earlier, we went to Tennessee, to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And over the course of that week, around Wednesday, late morning, early afternoon, Mason ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not something you want, especially at this time of the year.
No.
And no time of the year.
No time of the year.
At this time.
And the way that she ended up was really scary. She had a seizure, and it ended up, long story short, I ended up my daughter got my attention. I ended up in the bathroom going to see about her, and then understanding after I'm seeing her, she's on the floor, she's laid out, she's having a seizure. This is I've experienced people having seizures before, but this is the first time I've actually had to deal with someone having a seizure that I'm close to, that I love, that's a part of my family.
Right.
So
And when you say she was having a seizure, I don't know what a seizure is. I've never experienced that. What does that look like?
When I found her, she was completely still.
No seizure.
So she was having a seizure, but there was no evidence of it because her back was turned to me. She was in the bathtub. Rest of her body was out of the bathtub. Right? So I grab her, I pull her out, and at this point now she's having a seizure. She's seized up, right? Her body's locked up, and she's definitely not coherent with what's going on at that time, right?
That's different from. My thought was like a stroke. I'm assuming that there's a great difference. So there's my ignorance on what's going on.
So caveat: we are not doctors, so we're not going to talk about doctor stuff. So anything that comes out of my mouth will have some level of ignorance to it. Yeah. Because, or just not understanding the level of intricacies between the technology. But I think there's absolutely a difference between a stroke and a seizure, and the way that they come about.
We know art. We know art backwards, forwards, left, right, up, and down. But yeah, when it comes to these medical issues, there are some basic things that we need to know that we don't necessarily know.
Absolutely.
But you were saying that she was having a seizure. Okay.
She was having a seizure, and it freaked me out at first. It freaked me out, but I immediately remembered all of the CPR and first responder training I've learned over the years as a lifeguard when I was a kid. So anybody who knows CPR, anyone who's taken a first responder type course, keep your certification up. And I'm saying that as a hypocrite right now because I actually need to go back and get recertified because I think it's hell of important to make sure that you're up on knowing how to take care of your loved ones in these situations.
Or anyone else at that
right,
point,
right,
you know,
right.
Under those circumstances.
Because I couldn't imagine at that point being at the mercy of waiting for the ambulance. And I was glad that I was able to help her out until they got there.
You know, the thing about learning and processing and ingesting, the only thing that's missing is the experience. And at that particular point, I'm assuming that all that you had learned over those years were they were deeply implanted inside your brain. And at that point, it was the opportunity to make the experience portion of it.
It fired very quickly. I never had to do CPR on a living person until last week, and I've learned CPR half of my life ago, right? So, very fortunately, was able to recall that teaching, and but yeah, so it made me think about how important it is for everyone just to go out and get certified CPR. It's not hard, it's not expensive, and it just gives you that common knowledge of being confident, knowing that in the middle of a freak out, you can actually still help and do something, right? So learning more I've been reading a little bit more about, seizures and epilepsy. I've been finding out more that there's other people that are close to me that have the same issue that I didn't realize to the same extent, right? And how they're getting along with it. And the one thing I think I'm learning the quickest right now is we can't go back to last Wednesday. We can't go back to how any of us were last Wednesday. We have to move forward with the newfound information, right? And self-care and learning how to take care of someone else from moving forward standpoint. So I just want to encourage people just to go out and learn to take care of yourself. Get checked up. That's another thing I have to do as well, is re-up on my healthcare stuff and make sure that I got a general practitioner and making sure I just know what the hell is wrong or right with me, getting ready to happen or happen or not. So start to take better care of yourself and learn how to take care of the people around you.
Now, I've had health issues ever since I was 20. Well, a very particular health issue, and that was with my heart. And when I first learned that I had a heart problem, the first thing that I said, will I be able to work again? That was my very first thought,
right?
Because I wanted to work. And if I have this issue, will it impede that? Or how will it impede that? Will I be able to, function in life? And let's face it, aside from being social beings that we are, the number one thing that we're social, the other thing is that we want to contribute no matter what it is in that we do. We want to be able to say that we had a hand in something.
Right.
So, and that's work. And so even the laziest of lazies want to do something.
Right.
So that was my first thing when I discovered I had a heart issue. But hundreds of years later, I'm still here, still kicking with my heart, and I've actually overcome it by focusing on the work,
right?
Focusing on the people around me, focusing on making sure that my health is what it needs to be. But I will tell you one thing: working in a studio, photography studio, there are all kind of electrical issues, lights, things that can fall on you. if you're in the studio and things fall on you, you better believe I'm going to drag your bottom right out that door and then call the paramedics. I am not doing CPR on you
Now, why would you do such a thing?
because my insurance doesn't cover it. So that's how I'm staying healthy here in the studio.
So please have your own insurance
When
coverage.
you walk through that
if
door,
you step up in the
there
studio.
is a signature station right here. As soon as you walk in the door, sign this thing. It's a disclaimer saying that the studio is not responsible for anything you do. However, if your insurance is covered, just like when you go get a rental car, then any accidents, that's on you.
Right. You know, one thing I'm thinking about as we're sitting here talking about this is how important it may be to start learning how to do things differently, almost with almost learning how to do things differently. I was going to say with a handicap or disability mindset, but just like learning from a what if standpoint. Like, what if this happened to me in real life? Like, can I do this with my left hand? Or what are different ways I can process information? Because it's really the hardest part about coming up out of last week to this week is, Mason can't drive right now.
Oh,
And then
wow.
figuring out like how she gonna get to point A to point B. We have Uber obviously right now, so
Right.
thank God for that. But it's a mind, even with those things in place, it's still a mindset shift to be like, you can't grab your keys and run out the house and
That's
go where
correct.
you want to go at that time that you want to go. So just figuring out how to do things differently
As
from time to
as a
time.
person who's been injured, as an artist who's been injured, yes. But I will.
As an artist who's been injured, and as an artist who you haven't gotten there yet, maybe you haven't
Well-
had an injury and start learning how to do things differently now.
Well, the only thing that I would have a pushback on that is that we can't prepare for the inevitable
No.
until the inevitable happens.
Sure.
So what we can do, there are certain things we can do, and you mentioned that taking CPR classes so that you may be able to help those that might be in need of you. However, as an artist, we are expressive, and that expression comes from where we are now, not where we're going to be later, where we think we're going to be, but the art that we produce, the expression that we put forth is all based on now. And as an artist, one of the things that Mason's gonna learn is that to express those thoughts, feelings, fears, anger, helplessness, hope, all through her art in a new way.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen in the future. And if she neglects to do that, then shame on her. And I mean that. I mean it seriously. Shame on her, because you're an artist through and through. With one limb, with one finger, with one leg, with one eye, you're still an artist through and through.
Sure.
So, and it's your job, and I'm putting this on you, is to help her to realize that and to nurture her back to that.
Yeah, I just want to keep the vibe positive all the time. So what are things that you do when you're like not feeling yourself?
Well, one of the things that I notice, and it's silly, it truly is silly, is my diet. If I'm eating a whole bunch of fatty foods, my mood is going to go through the roof.
It's like when you say fatty food, because there's good fats and bad ones.
No, we're talking about the bad one.
So we're talking about
the
bacon,
bacon,
okay.
heavily fried chicken, and
Okay.
all of that, that stuff.
Okay.
The,
So we're not talking about like olive oils and avocado.
not the good stuff.
Okay.
So everything about me is going to go through the roof, and my mood is going to, it's going to be affected. But I find that when I eat well, balanced meals, and I know this is not so much about health and doctor and all that, trying to tell anybody get on or off or diet, none of that stuff. But it does, the foods that we eat, they do have an effect on us tremendously, and how we treat other people as well, and how prepared we are. Too much caffeine can, for me, it causes problems. So, and I know that I have a important job coming up. All my jobs are important, actually. I try to stay away from the caffeine because I know that all it's going to do is make me jittery and as go 1,000 miles a minute when it's not necessary. So I do prepare myself with my health in order to do the job that's before me.
Right. So what kind of brain breaks do you take? Like away from the studio, away from
Oh, my
family?
goodness.
Like what do you do for that?
I'm going to tell you, I think everybody should do this. whenever you're in a situation, you're doing a job, even if you're in the middle of the job, it is important to, when you feel a moment of stress, to stop the job, breathe, take a step away from it, walk around. Don't jump on your phone and create more stress.
Right.
But just take a couple of minutes. That's all it takes. Stand up, stretch, walk, drink some water, and then go back to it. Because if you stay in that stress, I know this for a fact, you stay in that stress, it's only going to get more stressful.
Right.
Absolutely more.
Because you've already started to dig that hole.
Oh, yeah. You start.
And you start to spiral a little
Right.
bit, right? Yeah.
And I tell you, spiraling is not a pretty sight.
Oh, man.
And we do it sometimes. We'll go down. We'll start feeling a little depressed about something, and little becomes a little bit more, and then we start removing ourselves from the situation, and then everything is doom and gloom. But yeah, you're right. To step away from that, to walk away from that, just for a minute or two, and it only takes a couple of minutes. It's just like driving. When you drive a long trip, and you feel tired, you pull over in the rest area, you stand up, all of a sudden you're ready to go another, 60, 80, 100 miles.
Yeah.
So
with that being said, like that was the hardest part of the trip, was the drive, because for me, my body is not used to sitting down all day long. And one of my favorite things to do is just to walk. I don't really like to run that much anymore, but walking, I could just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. And having to be trapped in that car for 10 plus hours.
coming from Tennessee,
both ways. And it got more ridiculous once I got into the mountains, because then you're just on that gas, you're on the brake, you're on the gas, and going up the mountain, you're on the gas the whole time. And your legs bent, your foot's kind of weirdly placed, and you're just like on and off the gas. And then coming down the other side, you're on and off the brake, right? And my leg was on fire. My body was just on fire having to sit down that much. So I was very relieved to be able to get out of the damn car and go for a walk. And that's how I relieve most of my stress, or take a brain break, is leave everything, put on my shoes, and just walk for an hour or so.
And the weird thing about taking a break is that it rejuvenates the mind, and you come back with a entirely different perspective and a new focus on where you're going with the particular project.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
And and it definitely helps even regenerate ideas. I do a lot of my meetings when I walk too. I stopped and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to take as many notes as I usually take, but we're gonna have a very, very curated conversation right now, because I'm gonna walk. And just new ideas start to happen as I'm walking, because I get to see different things. I get to process information differently. And it's usually a scenic route to where there's not a lot of distractions, really. It's usually like through nature or by the water where I live at. And I found that walking is just a dope way to generate new ideas. It's a dope way to have a conversation, because most meetings are, 30 minutes, an hour long sometimes, and you're just sitting down that long. And why not be able to get some exercise and be kind of pulling double duty. So
the whole gist of this thing is to take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself,
Yeah,
right?
And notice signs. Be aware of your own body talking to you and giving you signs and symbols to say, hey, look, I need a break here.
Right.
I need to step away from this for a moment. And because if you ignore it, stepping away is a lot easier than being placed on a gurney and then taken away.
Right. And it'll put you down.
Oh yeah.
If you don't do it before it does. So I don't know.
Now,
It just
take me back to the outcome of what happened with Mason.
So after we were through the hospital, she got all her CT scans and everything, all that the negative activity that was happening in the brain at the time that was causing, she had some laceration, she had a little bit of bleeding, all that stuff cleared up, and it got better throughout the time that she was being monitored in the hospital. So at the time they let her go, I think she was her brain was like, okay, I'm resting again. I'm able to start back over again. So yeah, she's home now, but the medications has her kind of wonky right now. So she's trying to figure out is this the right medication? If it's not the right medication, she's looking for a neurologist. So there's all these things you have to do now.
Oh yeah, because your life changes.
Now you gotta look for a neurologist. Now you gotta look for a neurosurgeon. You gotta make sure you like them because it's your actual brain that you're messing with at this point. And
Did you know that most brain surgeries are done with you wide awake?
yeah, because your brain has no actual nerve ending or nerve endings.
You know, I didn't notice that until somebody hit me in the head.
Until somebody hit you in the head. Did you have brain surgery?
No, I just got hit in the head. That's all there was to it.
Oh.
But now I know.
Another one I do not understand. But yeah, so they do perform a lot of them. There's a small percentage that they don't perform
Right.
while you're awake, but a lot of them they do perform while you're awake because the brain literally doesn't feel. It transmits pain, but it doesn't feel it personally.
It's amazing to me.
It is.
So everything seems to be back to normal.
I think it's a new normal.
A new normal. Okay,
Right.
I got you. Yeah.
So we're starting at a different point. So, and I was saying that to her yesterday, we can't go back to last Wednesday. We had to start from today. We have to start from Wednesday night and move forward from that point. So this is just something else that she has to get used to and start to correct and try to make better going forward.
And that I think that's true for any artist in their mind. Even when you're doing a job and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it. I'm not really segueing, but I'm saying is that you have to start from the new day. You can't go back to yesterday. And the mindset is, I learned from it. Now let me implement what I've learned and then better it for tomorrow. So I think that's going to be the takeaway to all of this is that we need to stay very, very healthy as much as we possibly can. These take time to take breaks,
Right.
Eat, and
Exercise.
yeah, exercise, eat
out.
healthy,
Yep.
exercise, and yeah, get out of your comfort space every now and then.
Laugh a lot.
A whole lot.
Do a lot of laughing.
So I'm so happy that Mason is doing better. But however, I know, just as you've mentioned several times in this talk, is that life has now changed, and it has changed now into what is known as a new normal.
A new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just moving forward from here. So definitely wasn't looking forward to having a kind of a downer conversation a little bit, but it's that time of the year, and I've always realized that like these type of things happen at this time of year just because like you mentioned the anxiety and the stress. But I'm fortunate and I'm grateful that everything worked out so that we can move forward, and we're moving towards the end of the year and planning for a new year of new and exciting things to come. So stay on top of your business, stay on top of your craft, stay on top of your health, eat right, exercise, go to the doctor. I know I have to learn how to take care of the people around you. And Robert Rossi, is there anything else you want to leave them with?
I want to make sure that you understand that being unmanageable is about managing everything around you.
Absolutely.
So
So thank everybody for tuning in. If you have any other information, if you've gone through this situation before, throw some comments out there. Maybe you know doctors we need to check out, or other people can check out as well. Maybe you know a CPR course or a CPR course or class that may be happening in our area or any area that people can go and check out and enroll in and actually go and take. And I actually encourage everybody to take that course because it's super important, and it'll just kind of put you at ease a little bit, knowing that you can do something in those times of emergency. So with that, thank you for tuning in. I'm Bevo.
and I'm Robert Rossi.
This is Raising Unmanageables, episode 72, I'm told. We'll talk to you next week.